I'm Mark Barnes. We begin tonight with more information out of Japan, or rather, a lack of news. The central government in Tokyo was reported to have sent a distress message to its allies, warning of strange creatures emerging from the sea, but was largely written off as a hoax, probably as some elaborate marketing for the next Gojira movie. In other news, it seems as though Taylor Swift's newest collaboration with Lil Wayne has gone quadruple platinum, and the duo are expected to perform at the Super Bowl. We'll be back with more news after these messages.
Big cheeses have more cheeses. Big cheeses have more cheeses. Big cheeses have more for you to love. It's a triple taste treat that can't be beat, yay!
Burger King introduces the Big Cheese, Swiss Jack and American on a flame-broiled burger. There's more for you to love.
'Cause we do it like you to do it at Burger King.
Welcome back. In regards to the Japan story earlier in our report, 4-star General Matthew Benjamin has apparently released a statement on the distress signal sent out from the country.
Look, Japan doesn't joke on a scale like this. If they tell you there's aliens coming out of the ocean, then you gotta see what's happening.
Well, let's not jump to alien attacks just yet, General. Well, that's all the time we have for tonight. Thank you, and good night.
Introducing the supercharged PlayStation 4 Pro console system. Discover the power of our super compact mega processor.
Whoa!
Revolutionary cord-free player paddle joysticks.
Whoa!
And super fresh graphics that are so real, they suck you right in.
Them see bust your ass coming at you.
Normally I'd say bite me, but let's not do that.
It's the ultimate immersive gaming experience, where no one gets out alive. Zombies in Spaceland, available in Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. Play map packs 30 days early only on PlayStation, the world's most powerful console. This is for the players.
Good evening. This is your nightly news. I'm Mark Barnes. We have a special report tonight regarding the widely discussed incident off the Japanese coast. After 2 days of absolutely no contact from the Japanese islands, military or civil, the Air Force conducted drone reconnaissance missions to Japan from carriers based in the Pacific Ocean. However, as the drones approached the Japanese shore, they were reportedly struck by lightning, despite relatively clear skies all across the area. The Air Force reported that the drones recorded no footage, but the astute and ever-controversial WikiLeaks proved the contrary. Be warned, the image retrieved from the drone is simple, quite vague, yet unnerving. No explanation has been proffered by the U.S. government on the context of this image, but it is accepted as a credible source. What this could mean is anyone's guess. Russian President Vladimir Putin gave the following remarks as he addressed his country earlier today.
Is the closest neighbor to Japan. We can only assume that we will be targeted by this threat. Rest assured that if this occurs, we will defend ourselves with all of our military might. To the leaders of this insurgent force, I issue a warning. You will not trifle with the Russian Federation. Any action you take towards us will result in war between us and your allies.
No doubt, strong words from the President of Russia. We will continue to report on this as news arrives. That is all the time we have for tonight. Tune in tonight, of course, for Monday Night Football, and afterwards, there's a new episode of Family Guy. Good evening. This is your nightly news. I'm Mark Barnes. The force responsible for the apparent destruction of Japan has now reportedly attacked Russia. Again, the reports from the Russian military are scant at best, but one of the reports, while brief, says that they emerged from the sea. President Putin has not released any further statements, and contact between the Russian Federation and other nations is all but non-existent. In other news, satellites not mysteriously destroyed in orbit that went over the Russian Federation reported some form of large-scale movement in the quarantine zone of Pripyat, Ukraine. The source and cause of the movement is unknown at the time. Korean leader Kim Jong-un has apparently vowed to destroy any who would threaten his country, and the Chinese military forces are already mobilizing along their border with Russia. President Trump has attempted to contact both the Russian and Chinese leaders, but stated that any attempts to contact were rebuked due to wartime radio silence from both countries. President Trump, of course, went to Twitter to voice his disappointment. It seems that we are living in increasingly more dangerous times, and it is the wish of our producers to urge all Americans to keep safe at this uncertain time. We will, of course, continue to report the news, but we urge you all to stay safe.
Then we see it. The place we've been trying to get back to. Safe at last. We've found our way home.
Good evening. This is your nightly news. I'm Mark Barnes. As you no doubt have all heard, the worst seems to have come to pass. All contact in eastern Russia has ceased, and China has gone dark. At approximately 4 a.m. Eastern Time, a nuclear detonation was reported in North Korea. The resulting electromagnetic pulse has disabled nearly all modern technology within a 400-kilometer radius. It is safe to say that this is the worst possible outcome, and that the areas affected by the blast will be in need of major aid in the coming days. To say nothing of where the radioactive fallout may spread. I wish all of us around the world to be safe. Make sure to schedule regular checkups with your doctor in case of radiation poisoning spreading across the world. Police across the country are hard-pressed to keep order in the streets, as many have claimed that this is the end. Please, I implore you, do not panic. I am confident in America as a country and as a world power, and I believe that we can handle any opposition. As for our opposition, it appears as though we have been able to obtain insight into where they originate from, using extensive surveillance equipment put in place by the CIA and FBI all across Asia and Europe. Drone and satellite-based surveillance systems have surveyed the Pacific Ocean and what is now being described as the dead zone of Japan, and discovered the existence of what can only be described as monoliths, large, floating, seemingly obsidian pillars floating above the ocean northeast of Australia and rooted into the ground in the cities that once were Hiroshima and Nagasaki. FBI investigations into the social media accounts of Japanese citizens living in Hiroshima and Nagasaki reveals that they did indeed witness the monoliths rise out of the ground and witnessed a vast multitude of fish-like creatures, and one startlingly telling image was taken from a private account in Hiroshima. What this creature could be is anyone's guess, and I am sure that our top scientists are working on this. On the European front, the United Nations has so far been relatively neutral in the face of this conflict, preferring to provide placating messages of cooperation. But the most recent statement by UN President Peter Thompson of Fiji carried a rather unfriendly overtone.
Given the fact that the US has not been attacked by these enemies, we cannot rule out the fact that this may be some biological weapons testing gone wrong. The US has been more than willing to violate our privacy and our laws in the past. Who knows if the laws of nature hold any more sway?
Tensions are understandably high, but top government officials have sworn that they are not responsible for this incident. Speaking of top government officials, the military is planning to begin defensive alignment of military installations all across the country in response to this threat. No doubt we will have more to tell you tomorrow. Until then, stay safe, everyone. Good evening. This is your nightly news. I'm Mark Barnes. Central Europe and the Middle East have been embroiled in conflict today, but due to the effect of the EMP caused in North Korea, they were also overrun, as most of their modern military equipment could not function. The Middle East was overrun not by aquatic creatures, but what was described as giant amoeba, by what few reports escaped on primitive technology such as telegraphs and letters. The amoeba was reported to be able to consume entire houses and vehicles by just crawling over them, and seemed impervious to all gunfire and only slightly inconvenienced by artillery. From eastern Russia to the Ukraine, the more common fish-type creatures have driven the remaining Russian forces back, and they seem to be just as impervious to conventional weaponry as these amoeba creatures. Tensions are ever higher at the UN as the threat looms. Europe has entreated the US government for military aid, but the government has declined to send any troops as, in their words, we must secure our borders before any others. With the limited amount of information obtained through countless sacrifices around the world, researchers have at least identified our threat. And I promise viewers that we struggle for the highest intellectual integrity here, and that this comes from top researchers at the Pentagon. What we are being threatened by are the very same deep ones, Shoggoths and Cthulhu, described in H.P. Lovecraft's novels. Somehow these beings, thought only to be fiction, are very real and very dangerous. They seem to emerge from the monoliths that appear around the world, and these monoliths are all at the sites of nuclear tests or disasters. Scientists have theorized that by splitting the atom, the fabric of the universe, that we have gradually been breaking down reality and allowing these impossible creatures to pass through. These creatures seem to have the bizarre tendency to induce debilitating hallucinations and psychic breaks in their enemies, which explains why the military forces have had such a hard time combating them. So given the information that we know now, I will close with a message from the Department of Defense. We will, of course, be on air tomorrow, pending any emergency. We will stay on as long as possible. Thank you and stay safe.
It's no secret that America is headed for one of the greatest battles in its history. There are over 50,000 homeless veterans in America right now, and over 49% of them have mental illness. Given that the Cthulhu monster causes insanity on contact, these insane veterans may be just what we needed. So if you see any homeless veterans, please direct them to the nearest recruitment officer. Only with their help and everyone's help can we hope to endure this battle to come.
Good evening. This is your nightly news. I'm Mark Barnes. The remainder of Europe fell today, and our great nation has been invaded. Monoliths appeared in Algeria, North Africa, and the nuclear test areas in the Sahara Desert, sending forces of these Shoggoths south into Africa and north into Europe, with deep ones rampaging west from the ruins of the Russian Federation. Monoliths also appeared in New York near the 3 Mile Island reactor and at the nuclear test sites in New Mexico. The military has engaged the creatures spilling forth from these monoliths, and the president has declared martial law across the country. Everyone should remain in their homes. Only leave your home if you are absolutely out of food, and if that is the case, purchase long-term rations. We must have faith in America. Stay safe, everyone.
Every day, the old ones use Shoggoths as fodder for their wars. These mindless creatures have no will of their own and are constantly subjected to military force. For just $1 a day, we can help find Shoggoths a better home where they don't have to fight in wars. Please, think of the giant amoeba monsters.
Good evening. This is your nightly news. My name is Mark Barnes. To conclude what may be our final night, I will read to you the statement rendered by the White House press secretary. Proud citizens of the United States, despite our military might, this otherworldly force has prevailed. Though their monoliths may stretch their shadow across our nation, they will never obscure our hearts. Rest assured that the President, his family, and the families of many government officials and high-ranking business executives have been relocated to impenetrable bunkers. The best of America is safe and will persist after your sacrifice. We prepare now to unleash our full nuclear arsenal with the confidence that it will destroy these so-called elder gods and teach them that there is only one God in America. Go forth before us and ask him to have mercy on us, for we will be tasked with making America great again. And there you have it, folks. If there's anyone still out there watching, it's been an honor to be your anchor. May God indeed have mercy upon us. Stay safe, everyone.